This is the application for the Reolink Duo 3 Wi-Fi. Here you can see it listed out on the Reolink application, and it's displaying a static screenshot. From here, we can have quick access to the settings for the camera, but we're going to tap on it to open up the live feed for the camera. We're going to give that a moment to load, and in the upper left-hand corner, we can see the name of our camera, as well as underneath that, the bitrate for the live video feed. To the right of that, we have our alarm. If I select this and tap to trigger, that sets the alarm off outside. And we're going to turn that off as to not bother my neighbors. To the right of the alarm is an actual trigger for the lights. So there we go. We turn it on. You can see there's a little blue over there now. And the thing I like about Reolink's light is right up there. You could see, well, I'm getting a motion trigger because there's some bugs out there, but the light itself shows a little blue in front of it, letting you know, hey, the light's on. And there we go. We're back to our IR scene. To the right of the light, we have these 4 boxes, which will allow us to change our view. Right now, we're on the single camera view. If I select 4, this is going to grab 4 of my Reolink cameras and put them up in a live feed. You can see these 2 right now are disconnected, and then I got 1 over there, but we can always select more. And if I had more turned on at the moment, we could see that. You can always double tap the camera that you wish to bring up as your main feed, or if I double tap, it will bring me into the last selected multi-feed for the camera. To the right of that is our settings. We'll touch on that a little later. To the right of our settings is our 3 dots, which will allow us to change between auto for day and night, classic black and white, or color. So selecting any one of these will change how this behaves for its night vision. And we'll give that a second to load itself back up. On the video feed itself, there isn't much to look at. We can pinch to zoom. And if I do that right over there, there's a bush. You can see there's a little movement right there. That's why that little blue icon is there. If there was a person or a pet wandering through frame and only through the live feed, you'll see a little blue box like that. And then it will follow them and let you know what that thing is. Coming down, we have our play pause for our live feed right there. We have turning on and off our audio from our live feed. And then we have a camera. Selecting the camera, we'll take a still image of whatever we happen to be looking at. And then to the right of that is our record for video. Right there, you can see it's recording. It is now taking a live video feed from what we're currently staring at. So even if you don't have motion, selecting the live video will record whatever it sees, even if something doesn't trigger it. To the right of this, we have clear, balance, and fluent. This is high, medium, and low for your video clarity. And then over here, we have a manual toggle to change the orientation. Cell phone, better for this very wide field of view camera setup as opposed to this view. You can also manually just rotate your phone to have things change. Here at the bottom, we have our talk. Well, if I tap to talk, you could see now my voice is triggering, and outside it is actually making my neighbors and the woodland creatures that wander through my yard wonder what's going on. That is full duplex, so you will hear people as you are talking to them. To the right of that is our playback area. This will allow you to have your SD card in place and go back and watch some of your clips. Now, in my case, each one of these little blue icons down here is a marker where something triggered the camera. In the corner of each of these, there is an icon. In this case, it's a pet that triggered it. Because this is a pixel-based triggering mechanism, it might be a little while before you actually see the thing that walks into frame. So if I come to this upper right-hand corner, I can slow things down, and there it is walking through frame. Notice you don't see the blue box around it because that's only in the live feed. But I can slow things down to 0.25, or I can speed things up Benny Hill style and have it up to 16 times speed. This is also where I would download this clip if I wanted to. Upper right hand corner, I select download, and then Reolink has one of my favorite tools in the download in that I can manipulate the length of this clip. So if it was a 2-minute clip and I just wanted that 19 seconds, I simply clip it down to what I want and then select the download. Back out. Coming down, we do have our play pause, just like we did for the live feed. We have our sound, our screenshot, our video. So maybe we don't want to download, maybe we just want to record. We want to make a recording of the recording. We can do that. Here is our playback clarity and then our video feed orientation. If I come down here, there is a calendar which will allow you to select individual days that you can go back and review. Notice the white days are days that I've had this in place. If you don't like this particular view, I can select the grid view here, which will have things look a little different as this was inside when I was looking at that. But you've got your two views there. I could also hit this X, which brings us back to the video feed. We're gonna come back into the recordings one more time to come down to this little filter icon right here. So if you don't care about motion or vehicles, and let's say you only want people and animals, and then confirm, it will filter out everything else, including motion triggers, except for the things that you have picked. So in my case, each one of those icons indicates that it is a pet. And then this one is a little longer. So we're actually going to do the 4x speed to let you see what that actually looks like. And there is a deer moving through frame. Now it looks choppy because it is moving that deer around at 4x the actual speed of the deer as it makes its way through my yard. But those are all the camera controls that we have. Up here, I mentioned we have the camera settings. Starting off at the top, we have the name of our camera with a bunch of other sensitive information, so I won't be showing you that. We then have the available space on our SD card, and then how we have this connected. In my case, I have it over Wi-Fi, but you could connect it via Ethernet. Coming down, since I have it over Wi-Fi, here are the credentials if you need to change those. And then under that, we have display. Right here, this is one of the things that I really like about how Reolink handles their application. In that, this is going to be all the stuff that we could do for the display. If I select streaming, I can change the clear and fluent, what the aspect ratio is, what the frames per second is, what the bit rate is. I can also change the frame rate mode from auto to constant, as well as the bit rate mode. There's a lot of customization that Reolink gives you. Anti-flicker, well, if you happen to get this and you notice that your lights are kind of flashing, that's a flickering thing. It's a hertz rate of the lights themselves. You can change that in here to kind of help with that. Day night, we talked about this before, but this is another place that we can do it. We can do auto, color, or black and white. And then here we have our brightness. Now, right now, it looks pretty bright because, well, there's a lot of snow out there. But if I needed this to be brighter, because I feel the IR lights aren't quite doing as much as I'd like them to do, I can manually bump this up. Now, changing the brightness does mean that things during the day may look washed out because you bumped it up for the evening time, but you can always go back and change this as needed. But the fact that I get this sliding scale to make that choice for myself is why I really like Reolink's app. Coming down, we have our camera name. Right now it's at the bottom right, but we could put it into several different locations and hide it all together, and I can always see it on this display up here. Same thing with the date. I can have it center, top left, blah, 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 or hide. And then we can turn on and off our watermark, and we have privacy mask. This is another feature that's really good to have. In that, okay, this area over here, well, that is my back step, so maybe I don't want to see that necessarily. Putting a privacy mask in place means that the live feed and the video recordings will not show what is in that box. You can see I set up a privacy zone there and a privacy zone there. We're going to come back and remove and continue, kind of delete those. But that's an example of what you can do with a privacy zone. Coming down, we have advanced, threshold, and this will be the threshold by which it will change between the black and white and color. You have customization. Again, Reolink is all about customization, which I very much appreciate. Image stitching. You might not realize this, but right about here, that is where the cameras diverge. So there's two different cameras on here. I can manipulate the distance, the horizontal and the vertical, if I feel that it's not stitching that center image to where I'd like it. By default, you're probably going to be okay. But if you get a building or something in there where you could see grid work on it, you can come in and make changes so that it looks better for you. You can always restore to default too, if you happen to come in here, play with things a little too much. Coming back, just under our advanced is our brightness and shadows. Right now it is on auto, but I could turn off auto and I could manually change my brightness and my shadows. And again, if I happen to mess anything up, let's say I make this too bright, and we'll give that a moment, and we'll lower our shadows, which is a little tricky since it's in black and white mode. But if I screw these up, I can always restore the value very simply. Same thing with our black and white, change our brightness and shadows, and then for our auto, change our brightness and shadows. Customization, customization, customization. That is what Reolink gives you. Backing out of our display, we're going to come down to sounds. We have our record audio and then our alarm sound and our noise reduction. This is actually a really nice feature, especially if you get wind. You can use this to cut down on the amount of noise that you get. Record audio, though, I wish was turned on by default and could be changed in a future firmware update, but it was off by default. And when I did my audio testing, I didn't realize it until I went back and checked and had to come in and turn it on. Turn that on by default, Reolink. Moving on, we have lights. And we have our infrared light, auto or stay off, and it gives you kind of an example of what that will look like. And then we have our spotlight. So we have our modes, off, never comes on. Night smart mode, meaning that if it detects a person, vehicle, or pet, it will turn on. Or you can do a timer where you just use it as a spotlight and say, from this time to this time, you're just gonna be on regardless. And then we have an adjustment for the spotlight. If you don't want it too bright, you could back that down and not have it be as bright. Here we have detection alarm. At the top, we have non-detection zone, meaning I can select this area over here and say, I don't want things to be detected, or over here on my steps. We can paint a zone just like that and select save, and then I won't get notified for that area, which can be a handy feature to have, especially if you don't really want notifications from that area. Motion masking is what we talked about before, where the blue box would show up around a person or a pet, but again, only in the live view. And then alarm settings. And then under alarm settings, we have sensitivity. So motion detection, how high do we want that to be? And then smart detection, what do we want? And again, Reolink gives you ample customization. How sensitive you want it to be for people, for vehicles, and for animals. And I don't have any vehicles back there, so I'm going to lower that and hit save. And then we're going to select back. We have alarm delay. How quickly will the alarm sound when motion is detected? People, 0 seconds. Vehicle, 0 seconds. Animals, 8 seconds. For an animal, maybe I want 8 seconds before it actually sets it off. Or maybe I do it in reverse. Person gets 0 seconds, gets 8 seconds before I shoo them away. Animals like those deer that eat everything in my yard, send them away very quickly. Object size, well, this will allow you to select minimum object size, meaning something has to be this small before you detect it, or a maximum object size, which means, in this case, something that big or smaller will be detected, or for minimum object size, something needs to be a minimum of this size to be detected or notified. We can even adjust this a little bit if we wanted to, which is helpful if you have specific size cars or animals that you want to be notified of and nothing else. Again, customization is key. Coming down, we have camera recording. I have it recording, as you might imagine. Motion recording schedule, I have set up to run all the time, meaning that no matter what time of day it is, it will record motion. I can set up a schedule if I don't want specific types to be targeted during a specific time, but I generally don't do that. Continuous recording schedule, well, right now it's disabled across the board, but if I wanted to, I could enable continuous recording simply by tapping, and I could do Sunday, Monday, put those all on, and then enable. Right now it's set to disabled. I'm going to hit enable, and then come back, and then there we go. Just like we had motion recording, now we have continuous recording. Post motion record duration, right now I have it at 15 seconds, but you can go all the way up to 60 seconds, which gets you more, but it also means that there's more for you to scrub through. And then overwrite recordings, you have interval of 1 day up to 30 days or the oldest. By default, it will be at the oldest. Push notifications, I have off right now, but if I turn this on, when it detects a person, a pet, a vehicle, it will send you a notification. You can kind of pick your ringtone there as to what you'd like. You can set a schedule when you want this to be pushed to you. Maybe you have quiet time or working hours that you don't want them to be pushed to you. You can make changes there to do so. And then push interval 20 seconds all the way up to 120 seconds. So you're not getting spammed with notifications, which is actually a really good thing, but that's where you would come in and make those changes. Email alerts, similar to receiving a push notification on the phone, you could set up an email, and instead of getting the notification on the phone, it will send it to an email address. If you have one that you share in your household, you can have it go there, and then everybody can get notified of that deer wandering through your backyard. FTP is on by default. You can set up a schedule for it, and then you have your FTP settings if you are aware of what that is. If you don't know what it is, don't worry about that. It's on by default. You won't need to use it. We have our siren. Well, right now I have my siren turned off. I can select a siren sound. Notice I have my default sound there, or I can come in and do a custom sound where I can select start. Hey, you kids, get off my lawn. You shouldn't be here. Go away. It's really cold. And now it's going to send that to the device so that the next time the siren sounds or motion detection happens, it will play this. We're going to hit apply, and now it will be set up as what we want. I can also change it if I wanted to and do a recording of a new sound schedule. Just like everywhere else, if we don't want that to happen all the time, we can simply come in here, make changes to our schedule, and those would be the days that it would run. Linked devices, well, I can come up here and press the plus sign. Notice that there are no linkable devices that I have, so that's where you would link your devices together. We have our time lapse. Time lapse is a really cool feature that some camera manufacturers have. Reolink allows you to kind of have some presets already done for you with events and people, clouds, sunrise, sunset, things of that nature, but they also allow you to, in customization, we can set our capture start time, our duration, our interval, our quality, and our file type, whether you want that to be a video or individual photos. And then select start and it would go on its way. If you do create some time lapses, up right-hand corner, select that. This will be a gallery of all your time lapses. You can go back and get them that way. And then we have a sprocket icon within our time lapses to select overwrite old time lapses. So if you've got too much stuff in there and it needs to clear it out, you're gonna have to make sure you turn that option on. And then coming down to the advanced settings, well, we have our share device. This will allow us to share this device with somebody else, where we can allow for management or for view only. And then you can even set an authorization time limit, which is just great. Enter a remark letting them know kind of what's going on, and then it will generate an authorization code. Keep in mind that they will need to have their own Reolink app to fully be able to take care of things. Next, we have illegal login lockout. I have this off currently, but what this will do is if you try and access the camera, which has its own separate username and password, if you do that too many times, it will lock you out for 3 minutes to prevent people from trying to access your camera that shouldn't be accessing it. You also have the ability to change the device password right from here. And then we have our date and time. Coming in here, this is our date and time. I can set to sync right now. From this area, I can also reboot my device and then restore my device. So that's going to be restoring to factory settings. And then under that, we have log out of device, meaning I would have to log back in using the device specific username and password. And then I can delete this device, meaning do I no longer have the device or want it as part of my Reolink application? That's how I can do that. And that has been everything that we can do for the Reolink Duo 3 Wi-Fi in the Reolink app.